What's up, everybody? Thanks as always for supporting the show. It would mean a lot to me if you would take a second to scroll down and hit that subscribe button to the Hoops Tonight YouTube channel, and then follow me on social media on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter so you guys don't miss any of our content over the course of this season. All right, let's talk some basketball. So the Celtics started with a similar coverage that they used in the regular season. We talked about it in the series preview. So in the first Cavs-Celtics game of the season, they went more traditional, but in crunch time, they moved Jayson Tatum over to Jared Allen. And then they did it again in the second game, where they actually started with Tatum on Allen and then went to him back at the end of the game closing. They started it like that today as well. Went with Tatum on Evan Mobley. Now, again, there's a very specific reason why you do that. Because of the Allen injury, you still have another non-shooter on the floor. Obviously, Allen is the non-shooter, or Allen and Mobley are both non-shooters in their normal full starting lineup. But Okoro came out and hit a couple threes tonight, and he's turned himself into a much more reliable catch and shoot guy. But again, the big thing in the league is, do they guard you? It's less about whether or not you make them and more about whether or not they guard you, right? And so they put Horford on Okoro, just had him ignore him and hang out in the paint. They put Tatum on Evan Mobley, and then they switched the Mobley ball screens. Because again, like the Cavs run a ton of pick and roll. I think they were 9th in pick and roll frequency this year. It's their primary kind of method of attack on offense, right? So it's a really smart coverage for Boston to use. When you switch ball screens, you take away the baked-in driving lanes, right? When there is when you switch, the only way you're going to get dribble penetration is if you beat your man off the dribble, or you can do slips and posts and things like that. There are other ways to attack it, but it's much harder to get dribble penetration. In a ball screen where they don't switch, as long as you get your man caught on the screen, you're going to get downhill in some way, shape, or form. And so putting Tatum on Mobley does a good job of kind of mitigating some of that dribble penetration. Now, it was funny. One of the early possessions of the game, they run a ball screen. I think it was Garland and Mobley, and Tatum switches. And so they immediately go to Mobley against, I think it was Derek White on the left block. And Mobley goes to work, and because he's just not a really experienced playmaker from the post, Boston brings like a triple team with Jayson Tatum and Al Horford, and they just swat him off the glass. So it's like they attacked it the right way tactically, but it's just you're making Evan Mobley make your decisions for you, and that's just not a very good idea, right? So like that wasn't working very well. One of the ways the Cavs countered it is they just tried bringing Horford into the screen no matter what. So a lot of times that was Okoro. They just have him set the screen, and Horford was running a drop there, or cross matches. Like Horford usually would pick up Evan Mobley in any sort of transition situation, and then they would just bring Horford up and try to set the screen that way. Some guard stuff. They got Mitchell downhill early in the game with just a Garland-Mitchell two-man, just have Garland set the screen. Again, a lot of pushing in transition. And to Cleveland's credit, they stayed connected for most of the game. It really wasn't until the late third quarter that Boston really got too far away for it to matter. Boston, kind of turning to them, they went heavy through Jaylen Brown early in the game. Again, this is something they've been doing for a while. Like they just run a lot of their early offense through Jaylen Brown. He got Max Strus off his feet early with a pump fake and hit a three. Had a nice closeout attack where he went at Mobley's chest and got to the foul line. He went at Okoro in the post and got to the foul line. He fouled him on a kind of a fadeaway jumper. Went at Donovan Mitchell in the post and hit a left shoulder fade. He had a layup. There was a really nice ATO that they ran. This was, I want to say, after Mitchell hit the three to get it to 23-21. But they that was when the Cavs took that early lead, 23-21. Come right out of an ATO, and Donovan Mitchell is on Derek White. And this really smart set where, like, all game long they were trying, because they were really trying to use Mitchell and Garland's man as a screener to try to get Jaylen Brown or Jayson Tatum downhill. That was a big thing that Boston was doing early in the game. And the way that this ATO, meaning after timeout play, went, they were in a horn set, and they ran an action at the top, kind of like if I remember correctly, it was like a screener thing, but it flowed into Derek White doing a dribble handoff with Jaylen Brown out of the left corner. And Mitchell was trailing the play pretty hard. And again, what they were trying to do was hedge and recover in those situations. They want Garland and Mitchell to hedge and then recover. Hedging meaning stop the drive and then recover to the shooter. But the problem is Mitchell was so out of position from the early part of the action that Jaylen Brown was able to just get downhill easily off of the DHO. I think Strus was on him at that point. He just got easily pinned on the screen. Jaylen Brown got right downhill, got into the lane, got a layup. It's a really nice way to come out of the timeout and kind of get a quick bucket, an easy bucket to take the Cavs lead away. Jaylen Brown had another transition drive at Max Strus off of I think it was off of just a miss or a turnover. They got out in transition, got a layup. Jaylen Brown had 15 points in like the first something like 7 minutes of the first quarter. He came out just guns blazing. Middle of that first quarter, they started leaning more into Derek White and Jayson Tatum playing a two-man game. Garland was on Derek White, which is a matchup I didn't like. We'll get into that in a little bit. And Strus was on Tatum, but they didn't want to switch it. So like at first, they were in this bind because it was like they switched it once, and then Tatum just went right down to the post and easily scored on Garland. He like missed a shot, but easily got the offensive rebound and put it back. And then it's like then they didn't switch it, and then Derek White started breaking open because he was the ball handler, and Max Strus didn't want to leave Jayson Tatum. He was like kind of hugged up on Jayson Tatum, and Garland would get caught on the screen, and Derek White was hitting threes. And Derek White is just so locked in from 3-point range right now. It's kind of like a death sentence in its own right? And so again, we're going to talk about that in a little. I'll just get into it right now. I didn't like the Garland on White decision. I understand why. You do it to save Donovan Mitchell's legs, right? Because he's the one that's been carrying your offense for the majority of this postseason. But Derek White's on a heater right now, and Darius Garland is just too small, and he cannot guard him. He cannot bother his pull-up jump shot. And so even though Mitchell has a lot of offensive responsibilities, he's just more physically equipped to do so. And again, Derek White's torching you. He was the one who blew the game open late in the third quarter. Once again, with this three-point shooting, hit a couple catch-and-shoot threes, hit another one on a two-man game with Jaylen Brown where, once again, Darius Garland kind of lingering in a soft hedge where he's more just kind of hanging out to help on the drive. And then he closed out and got a hand up on Derek White, but Derek White just doesn't see his hand. He's too short. And so that really was what kind of blew the game open in that late third quarter. The highlight was that step back, kind of like pull back dribble that he had on Sam Merrill. So it's like he's on the left wing. They call up a ball screen. Tristan Thompson shows up, throws like a random trap at Derek White. Derek White retreats out of it. When he retreats, Tristan Thompson goes away, and there's only like 4 seconds on the shot clock. And so Derek White just hard dribble move to the right, like 2-3 hard dribbles, snatch back behind his back, and talk about like skill development. Go watch that shot again and like try pausing it right when he does the snatchback dribble and then watch it. It looks literally like he goes straight up and down. It looks like a normal catch and shoot jump shot. That is the all of the best pull-up jump shooters. It's all ball handling and footwork to get to straight up and down jump shots. That's why they're so efficient on those shots. They do their work early. They do their work with the handling and the footwork and the leg strength to stop on a dime. Then once they get that separation, it's just going straight up and down into a jump shot. Beautiful move, beautiful shot from Derek White. But again, that's something I think the Cavs are going to need to take a look at, and we'll go over some options here in a few minutes. But yeah, that Derek White hot streak kind of put the game away in the third quarter. Two more guys I wanted to shout out. Luke Cornett, he came in for a shift in the late first quarter and immediately had a couple of blocks. He blocked Isaac Okoro slashing on a closeout and then got Donovan Mitchell in a drop coverage. That was part of the defensive run. They got Boston's first separation because, again, Cavs kind of hung around. They were up 23-21 after a Mitchell pull-up three, and that defensive run kind of led by Cornett there, getting those stops at the rim, kind of helped them get that initial separation. Peyton Pritchard, he pitches in 16 points off the bench, hit a huge pull-up three at the buzzer in the third quarter that felt more or less like a dagger. It felt like the shot that kind of put the game out of reach. On the Cavs front, not a whole lot they can do. They don't really have the firepower offensively. And without Jared Allen, they're too small in this matchup. They got killed on the glass today, 55-38, 13-7 in offensive rebounds. With Jared Allen, they're a pretty big team. But as soon as you take him out of the lineup, they like Evan Mobley, undersized, center, right? Like now you're going Max Strus and Isaac Okoro as your 3-4, and then Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, two small guards. So they're just like almost like untenably small without Jared Allen. But if I had to do something, I'd tinker with the matchups a little bit. We talked about maybe just swapping Garland and Mitchell. Another thing you could do, just take your three best defenders and put them on their three best shot creators and hide Garland and Mitchell, even if they're undersized, on Horford and Drew. Like, just take Evan Mobley and put him on one of the wings and have Strus and Okoro guard the other wing and Derek White, and then have Donovan Mitchell guard Al Horford and have Darius Garland guard Drew Holiday. And you know what? Maybe you'll just disrupt Boston's offense by causing them to bail on their typical actions and start force feeding the post on Horford and Drew Holiday, maybe you can double team and rotate out of it or front the post or something. I don't expect any of this to work. I'm just kind of spitballing here on some options they have, but like Darius Garland on Derek White certainly is not going to work. And like, this is the thing that Boston does to you. They have so many damn good players that there aren't really good places for you to hide your guys. And they can put you in a predicament like this, where it's like maybe you put your two small guards on their two physically strongest players in the starting lineup. It's just these are Boston problems, man. This is what Boston does to you. More mixing up coverages too, like just throwing random blitzes, switching randomly, going into they threw some token zone in garbage time, but like what if they went to a little bit more random zone, like just do it like not consistently, but on random possessions to disrupt rhythm. But it's all gimmicky, and the talent gap is just too wide to really make up that gap. There's a reason why the Celtics were a minus 1,200 favorite to win this series, and every other series in the first round was substantially closer. And it's because there is a chasm between these two teams in talent, athleticism, size, everything. And it's just going to be really, really hard for the Cavs to hang around.